sense, it's a privilege and honor. But in another sense, more importantly to me, I'm humbled by all the great stuff that we've seen and shared this morning and all of today. And at the same time, I don't want to run the risk of preaching to the converted. Okay? So I've been asked very specifically to share my experience of the last 35 odd years on discussing a few important aspects about water. We all know it's the next frontier, but I also like to touch upon some new paradigms that are emerging, at the same time something that we can exploit. So I'd like to touch upon four important aspects today. One is the paradigms of perception. The second one is the paradigm of footprint. Then there's a management paradigm around water as well. And then there's an environmental economic paradigm too. So I'd like to cover all these. I'll flirt at some points and pause at some others. Starting with the perception of plenty. We all know about the 70-30. And still, the reality on the ground depends on where you're sitting, where you're coming from. I've traveled to more than 73 countries, did my master's in innovations in decentralized approaches, and had the privilege of talking to various experts, scientists, lay people, people from the administration. And yes, we all know that less than 1% water available on our planet is fresh and potable. This is a reality, this is a given. And despite knowing this, there are a couple other facts that we need to take into account. Number one is less than 1% is fresh potable water. That's about 7 billion people today. And the plant and animal kingdoms. And the same population within this century is going to be 10 billion. We all know this. But many a time we forget the fact that the total quantum of water is fixed on our planet. You can call it water is water, whether it's fresh or wasted doesn't matter, but the total quantum of water is fixed on our planet. It was the same billions of years ago, it will be the same today. Of course, what's changing is the quality, the context. And with all due respect to my friends who've been able to make water from air, but we've still not been able to combine the chemistry of H2O. We can generate electricity, energy, power, you name it. But this is one simple chemistry we've not been able to master. A global snapshot of 2014, and we're talking about almost 2/3 of the world population living in water-stressed conditions. In many cases, reaching economic water scarcity. There's a mouthful of data there. I won't go into every aspect. You know it. Let's move to the mother of all paradigms, and that's how EcoSoft was born, not just looking at water supporting life, but the fact is, and this hurts, that less than 2% of our water footprint is used for potable purposes. 98% of water that we consume on a daily, weekly, lifelong basis is generally for non-potable purposes. This hurts. And I respect, and more organizations are focusing on drinking water, and we must, because that is important. It's very basic, it's about survival. But my friends, if we do not focus on that 98% that is being used for non-potable purposes, we're going to head or hit a wall sooner than we even realize. I'll come back to this time and again. We talked about agriculture. If the global population is going to go from 7 to 10 billion, what do you think would be the increase in demand for water? Your options are, I'm not going to do it Kaun Banega Crorepati style, but you can try and take a guess. Any guesses?
D. Sorry.
A normal human being can live without food for about a month. How many days can he or she live without water?
A.
D? A?
A.
Maximum 9 days. Okay. I call it the appropriate answer. It's no right or wrong answers. Okay. How many gallons or liters of food is required to produce food for a family of 4? It's about 25,700 liters, 1 day. Gallon of water for a barrel of crude oil, more than 7,000. We talked about food manufacturing. Nothing against German cars, but almost 150,000 liters. Yeah. Moving on, somebody talked about the management of water. Mother Nature manages water for billions of years, since time immemorial. In how many steps?